Hello everyone, in this tutorial I will be showing you how to make a granny square as simple as I possibly can, and a couple of different alternative routes that you can take for building up your granny square. First off, you'll need a weight for yarn, a pair of scissors, a darning needle, and a 5.5 or a 6mm hook, or whatever you have on hand works as well. So to get started, there are two different ways that we could go about starting this project, and I'm going to show you which way that I prefer. The first method we can do is a chain of 4, or we can do a magic ring or a magic loop. So if you know what you're doing, go ahead and get one of those started. If not, I'm going to go through and do both right now so you know how. To start a slip knot, go ahead and place the tail of your yarn over your fingers like so, and then you will wrap it around the back side of your fingers and wrap it around the palm side of your fingers, and then back to the back side you're going to cross it over and make an X. Grab it with your ring finger right here so that way it doesn't slip away from you. Insert your hook under the first one and grab and pull through this one. This creates a slip knot. Then you can get your tension ready, and if you don't know how to do that, I'll show you how I set mine. I grab with my pinky like so, and then I grab with my first finger. From here, you can tighten up that slip knot that we just created. You can chain 4, from this chain of 4, what you're going to do is insert your hook into the first chain that we did, and you're going to pull it through a slip knot through these. So pull through those 2, then you can pull it through the rest of the way. The only problem with this method is that you cannot close up this circle right here. You are stuck with this like gap that it creates. But if you're okay with that and that's what you need to do for right now, that's more than okay. But if you're comfortable trying the magic ring or magic circle, they are the same thing. I will show you how to do that next. So for your magic ring or magic loop, you're going to set it up the exact same way you're setting up your slip knot. So take 2 fingers, wrap it around your fingers, create an X on the back side, go under and pull through. But instead of closing this circle right here, that's a magic circle or a magic loop. For the rest of the video, I might call it the term that I normally do, which is a circle. So that's what you'll be hearing. From here, what we're going to do is work our height up and start our granny square. The key to this adjustable loop though, however, is that this can run away from you really fast and open up and you lose your circle. But if you see that that's happening, just slightly grab it and pull and you can see that it's tightening up. But I like to leave it a little bit more open whenever I'm starting, just to make it easier on myself. So up next, I will show you 2 different ways to work up your height into starting a granny square. The first option to work your height is to chain 2. So that would look like this. 1, 2. That's going to be your first cluster in your first total cluster of a granny square. And then I will show you the second method, which is what I currently do next. For the method that I do now, I start again with that adjustable loop or magic circle, and I chain 1, which kind of secures my yarn a little bit on this end, and then I insert into the magic circle and I pull through, and what we're doing is a single crochet and pull through 2. That right there is a single crochet into the center of our magic circle that we created. And what we're actually performing is a stacked single crochet, and this is going to give us the same height that we need for the double crochet, and I also think it gives a cleaner look to the project. So there's two bars here. There's one right here, which is the top of your stitch, and there's one down below. We want to insert our hook in the down below stitch. So insert your hook into that loop, pull through your yarn, and then pull through your yarn again, which is a single crochet. And you can see there, you can kind of squish it together. That's a lot more filled in than your traditional chain look. And then from here, we're going to keep working into our circle and working our corners in. Once you have chosen your method for working into or working your circle up and then working your height, we're going to go ahead and work the rest of the clusters and finish off this round. So we're going to perform a double crochet twice. If you're not sure what that is, what you're going to do is yarn over your hook like so, insert it in this circle, and then pull it through. Always be pinching this circle just so you have more control over it, and then you're going to pull through two of those, and then you're going to pull through the next two. That is double crochet, and you can squish it next to your other stacked single crochet, and then we're going to do one more of those. So again, yarn over, insert into the center loop, pull it through, and then pull through two and pull through two. From here, this is your first cluster in a granny square. What you're going to do is a chain of two. This is also creating your first corner. And if you've ever tried to make a granny square and you got a little bit confused on where your corners are, I would highly suggest every time you go to make a corner to go ahead and start using stitch markers from here on out so you can keep track of it. I personally don't need them or don't find them very useful for this, but if you do, go ahead and do that. Again, you're going to chain two for this corner, and then what we're going to do is another 3 set of clusters right here into this space. 1, 2, 3. So you're going to do 3 double crochet, a chain of 2, 3 double crochet, a chain of 2, and 3 double crochet and a chain of 2. And then you will slip stitch that together. But we will do that slow together so you don't get overwhelmed. Once we have our chain of 2 for the corner, feel free to grab a stitch marker and mark this corner once we place it to keep track of your corners if you need so. I'll show you where that needs to be placed in just a second. But first off, we're going to do 2 double crochets. If you don't know how, go ahead and yarn over your hook like so. And you're going to insert your hook into the center square. Right here is our center. All of these double crochets that we're about to place are all going to be in this center area. And you'll need to watch that your magic loop doesn't open on you. You'll pull through 2, and then you're going to pull through 2. That's a double crochet right there. And then this is your corner space. So if you can't keep track of your corners very well in a granny square, which is more than okay, I couldn't at the beginning either, go ahead and grab a stitch marker to keep track that this is your first corner. And then what we're going to do from here is 2 more double crochets, creating another cluster of 3 stitches. You'll notice that I kind of pull down my stitches. It will square up your granny square more if you kind of move those stitches into place where they're supposed to be. From this cluster of 3 that we just finished, we're going to chain 2 for the corner, and then we're going to do another 3 double crochet into that center. Again, you can push your stitches down and you can see how that kind of creates more of a square shape, which is what you're looking for. At this point, you've done another 3 double crochets and you're ready for chain 2 for the corner. And then you're going to place another 3 double crochets into that center. Once you finish those 3 double crochets, you're going to create this last corner, and then this will finish out this round of the granny square. So you're going to chain 2, and then what we're going to do is insert our hook and perform a slip stitch into the top of the first cluster of 3 that we did, which is actually that stacked single crochet. So insert your hook, there's 1, 2, 3, into that stitch, and then pull through 2, and go ahead and pull it through this last one. That slip stitches that round together, and then you should have the first round done in your granny square. And you can also pull your center nice and tight, but it will keep kind of opening up until you fully weave it in. And you could go ahead and weave it in if you wanted it to stay closed. This is option 1 on how to work your height up. We will have to do the entire round as option 1 and work up our height again for option 1 because every other round will be different. And then I will show you option 2 and you can choose whichever one you want, whichever is easier for you. So option 1 is a chain of 3 to start. Your third chain right here is acting as a filler space for the next round to work into above this cluster, if that makes any sense. From the chain of 3, you're going to double crochet and you're going to work into this corner right here. Not this one, but this one. You might want to remove your stitch marker if you have one placed, because we are going to make the new corner and then you will replace your stitch marker. So do your cluster of 3 double crochet. You'll pull that cluster again, you'll pull it down, kind of shaping your square as you go. You will chain 2 for your new corner, and then you're going to do 3 more double crochet in that same corner. Go ahead and replace your stitch marker into the new corner that you've created if you are using one. And then what we're going to do next to get into this next corner is a chain of 1. Again, that is your filler space from corner to corner. Do a double crochet 3 times into the next corner. Once you get that cluster made, pull it down to create that shape. Chain 2 for the corner. You might want to go ahead and move your stitch marker because we are creating the new corner. Do 3 double crochets back into that same corner that we're working into. So every corner will have 2 clusters in it. So now we have 2 new corners right here, and every round you're going to start getting 1 more space extra to work with on the sides. So from here you're going to chain 1 and then work 3 double crochets into this corner. Continue working 3 double crochets into this corner. Again, you might want to remove your stitch marker and replace it here in a second. Pull those cluster down to help shape your granny square, and chain 2 for your new corner, and then 3 double crochet back into the same corner. You now have 3 corners. Go ahead and use your stitch marker into that 3rd corner if you need to. And then what we're going to do is chain 1 as that gap space, and then do 3 double crochets into your next corner. Readjust here. This part coming up is going to be a little bit different than what we've done, because we're going to come back into this chain that we created. So what we're going to do is chain 2 for creating the new corner. So go ahead and take out that stitch marker if you haven't already and replace it here in a second. Do 2 double crochet into that same corner space that we just worked into. And the reason we're doing 2 double crochet instead is because this chain right here is going to count as part of the height in a stitch right here to finish off the cluster. So what you're going to want to do is this stitch right here, 1, 2, that's the height, so we don't want to work into that, but there's that 3rd that we left as a filler. We want to work into that 3rd stitch, and we're going to slip stitch into there. So what that's going to look like is like that, and grab your yarn and pull it through, and then pull it through the rest of the way. That closes off the round. You have your new 4 corners, and you should also have 1 new space additionally on each side. And this is what I was talking about for option 1 versus 2, this next part, working up your height. You'll notice before we were working into a clustered area, but now we're above a single spaced area. So whenever you're above this open space area, you will work it up differently than the way we did it for this last round. What I mean is you are going to work directly into here first instead of working into that corner space. So chain 2 like you're just working your height of a typical double crochet, and then place 2 double crochets into that open space. This creates your first cluster into it, and then from here you're going to chain 1 and then 3 double crochet into your corner. So go ahead and remove that stitch marker. Pull it down. chain 2 for your corner, 3 double crochet. If you haven't noticed by now, a granny square is fairly repetitive in what you're doing. You just need to keep track of where you're at. This created our new corner for this round, so you can go ahead and place your stitch marker. And I'm going to stop here on the option 1, and I'm going to frog it back and go through option 2 of building your height up. And then we will continue along the granny square. Alright, this is option 2. This is the way that I currently work them now. So if you've pulled through your slip stitch to connect the last round, this is what we're going to do next. I like to turn my work for this, and I'm actually going to work on this side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a single crochet into this corner. And from the single crochet, we're going to do the stacked single crochet and place it into that bottom bar again. And pull through a loop. You should have 2 loops on your hook. And you're going to pull through 2, creating another single crochet on top of that single crochet. So that's a stacked single crochet right there. This is your height stitch right here, and this is like the top of your stitch right here. Next, you're going to work 2 double crochets into that same corner. Pull it down. You can chain 2 for the next corner. Again, remove your stitch marker if you have one placed, and then do 3 double crochets into that same stitch. This now creates your new first corner for the round, so go ahead and grab your stitch marker and place it into the corner if need be. Also move your stitches around if you need to. From here, you're going to chain 1 for that filler space between clusters and do 3 double crochet into the next corner. Pull it down to adjust, chain 2 for your next corner. Remove your stitch marker if you haven't already. You can replace it here in a second. Do 3 double crochets into the same corner. Go ahead and place your stitch marker into your new corner that you just created to keep track if you're doing that. And chain 1, creating your new filler space. And then do 3 double crochet into your next corner. Once you've done those 3 double crochet, almost got ahead of myself, go ahead and chain 2 for your corner. Remove that stitch marker if you are using them, and place 3 more double crochets into that same corner. Once you've gotten your 3, go ahead and replace your stitch marker. That way you can keep track. You should also now have 3 visible corners. And then go ahead and chain 1 and 3 double crochet into your next corner. chain 2 for your corner. Again, remove your stitch marker if using one. We're about to replace it. And do 3 double crochet into that corner. I missed my stitch. You've now created another corner here, so go ahead and reinsert your stitch marker. And then what you're going to do here is slip stitch your round together. We're going to chain 1 for that filler space, apologize for that, and then slip stitch in. So we're not going to go into the space right here, but this is the top of our chain. If you're not sure, what you can do is go to that cluster of 3 and count from the top 1, 2, 3, and you want to insert into that third one and perform a slip stitch. From here, I like to turn my work again so I can work the opposite way. And we're going to do the same thing. So the space right here is open, like on option 1. We're going to insert into this space and single crochet and make that stacked single crochet first. So go ahead and place a single crochet, insert into that bottom bar of your single crochet, pull through a loop, and then pull through 2. That is a stacked single crochet acting as our height stitch. You can do a 2 double crochet to finish off that cluster. You'll do a chain 1 to get you that filler space, and then 3 double crochet into this next corner. For the next part, you'll chain 2 and 3 double crochet into your corner. You're going to keep going around with this pattern that we've been working on. If you need to go back into a part of the video, we're just simply continuing that same adding 3 cluster, chain 1 for a space, or chain 2 for a corner. So if you need more help, go back into earlier in the video. If not, what we're going to do now is I actually am making a granny square that looks like this. Also on a granny square, you can make it as small or as large as you want, so whatever round you want to call it quits, do so. They're very versatile and you can use them for a lot of different projects. Mine's quite large. I'm making a pair of pants. But you can also see that I'm color changing every 2 rounds. So what we're going to do is learn how to color change next. So for this color change, we're actually going to go back to this point where I haven't connected the round together yet. And what I'm going to do is reinsert like I'm going to do that slip stitch to connect them. But right here, when I pull through these 2, I'm going to stop and pull up that loop, and I actually want to pull through my new color. So I like to kind of pull it tight and hold that old color behind. Grab your new color, place it on your hook. I like to pinch it and kind of hold it onto place, and then you're going to switch hands, pinch with this one, and pull through that new color. And then what you're going to do is just grab your tension and keep working up or wherever we're at. So for this one, what we're going to do is turn like we just did and place that single crochet into this spot. And you'll find that it's a little bit hard to work with at first until you place that first single crochet, just because it's trying to get away from you. And then also once we're placed that first single crochet, you can go ahead and trim up that pink yarn or whatever yarn you're using, and so it's out of your way. From here, that single crochet we're going to make into a stacked single crochet, so insert your hook into the bottom loop of that crochet, grab your yarn and pull it through. You should have 2 on your loop, and grab it and pull through 2. That creates your first cluster or your first stitch in the cluster. You're going to do 2 double crochet, and then you will chain 1 for your gap filler space, and then do 3 double crochet into this corner. I'll go ahead and work the entire round with you, so that way if you're still a little bit confused on it, it maybe will help clear it up. Pull that stitch kind of down into place. Chain 2 for your corner. Again, adjust, remark if you need to with your stitch marker to keep track. That's the first corner, so go ahead and place a stitch marker if using one. Chain 1 as your filler space, and then continue a chain of 3 in this space. But you'll notice that this space is not a corner space. You shouldn't have a stitch marker there, therefore you're just doing 1 set of the cluster, so just 3 double crochet into that space. You're not doing any more than that. Chain 1 as your next filler space, and then 3 double crochet into your corner. Again, if you're using a stitch marker, I would move it and replace it here in a second. Do your chain of 2 to create your new corner, and do 3 double crochet into the same corner. From here, what you're going to do is chain 1 and then 3 double crochet into your next space. Again, that is not a corner. Should not have a stitch marker if you're using them. Just the 3 double crochet in that one. Then you're going to chain 1 as your next filler spot and do 3 double crochet into your next corner space. Remove that stitch marker if you have one placed. Chain 2 to create your new corner. Three double crochet into the corner, same one. You'll notice that my tails are kind of fighting me. Feel free to grab them and pull them out of the way if that is happening to you. Chain 1 as your next filler spot. And 3 double crochet into that spot. Again, that is not a corner, that is just part of your new side that we are creating as we go along on our granny square. From that cluster of 3, chain 1 and work 3 more double crochets into your next corner. remove that stitch marker if you're using one and make a chain of 2. And then 3 more double crochets into that corner. Again, grab your stitch marker and remark that 4th corner if you're doing so. And you'll notice that we are back at the beginning where we started. So what we need to do now is chain 1 to create the filler space. And then we're going to slip stitch into that spot right there. Again, if you aren't sure where to do that, count that stitches on your cluster. So there's 1, 2, 3. That 3rd one is where you're going to slip stitch into. Pull through 2 and then pull it through again. From here, what I would do is turn and single crochet, a stacked single crochet right into this space, 2 double crochet, and then continue to work around the square. Also, if this is like a good stopping point, maybe you only want this many rounds, you want little miniature squares, that would also be good, and you can tie off your square and weave in your ends. But you should know how to make a granny square.